What if I told you there's a method so powerful, so psychologically intense, that it makes no contact seem like child's play? No contact still leaves a door open. It keeps you hoping, waiting, and wondering if they'll ever return. But this doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them question everything. Not because you vanished, but because you transformed into someone so strong, so untouchable, that they have no choice but to regret their decision. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about sitting by your phone waiting for a message that may never come. This is about complete self-mastery, about evolving into such a force that by the time they recognize what they lost, you've already moved on. This is the story of a man who was broken just like you. A man who thought no contact was enough, until he uncovered something far more effective. And by the end of this video, you'll have a weapon so powerful that they won't just miss you, they'll regret ever letting you go. So if you're ready to stop hurting and start winning, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Comment below. I take control of my destiny. Now, let's begin. Number 1. The Fall, a man broken by love. He never saw it coming. One moment she was his entire world. The late-night talks, the private jokes, the deep conversations that convinced him what they had was real, unbreakable. Then, just like that, she was gone. No explanation, no apology, just a cold, emotionless goodbye that felt like a dagger to his chest. He stared at his phone, rereading her final message as if somehow, looking at it long enough would make it all make sense. But it didn't. It never does. The days that followed were agonizing. Every space felt hollow. Every song reminded him of her. The bed seemed too empty. The silence on his phone was deafening. He could still hear her laughter in his mind, still picture the way she used to look at him, like he was the only man in existence. But now she looked at him as if he were a stranger. No. Worse, as if he never mattered at all. That's what hurt the most. Not just that she left, but how effortlessly she erased him. Like he was nothing more than a passing moment, a name she'd forget in no time. Yet, he couldn't do the same. His mind became a war zone, battling between anger and heartbreak, between despising her and longing for her return. He replayed every memory, overanalyzing every detail, desperately searching for the moment it all unraveled. Had he been too available? Too loving? Not enough? He tortured himself with endless questions, losing sleep over a past he could never rewrite. Then came the advice. Go no contact, they told him. Disappear. Let her feel your absence. So he did. He deleted her number, stayed away from her social media, and resisted the urge to reach out, even when his fingers hovered over the screen, desperate to send just one message. He convinced himself this was strength, that this was how he'd make her regret walking away. But deep down, he was still shackled to her, because even if he wasn't speaking to her, she still occupied his every thought. Every single day, he checked his phone, hoping for a message that never appeared. Scrolling through old photos, he questioned if she had ever truly cared, telling himself he was healing, when in reality, he was just waiting for the day she'd wake up and realize she had made a mistake. But that day never came. And that's when the truth hit him. No contact wasn't enough. It was a temporary fix, not a real solution. Because as long as his happiness relied on her return, as long as he needed her validation to feel whole, he was still powerless. And weakness? That was never attractive. She didn't respect him when he was broken, and she wouldn't suddenly respect him for lingering in the shadows, hoping for a reconciliation. He had been playing a losing game from the start. That's when everything shifted. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. Number 2. The truth about no. Contact, why it's not enough. No contact, it's the advice everyone gives, the go-to strategy when you've been dumped, ghosted, or replaced. Just ignore her, they say. She'll come back once she realizes what she lost. And at first, it sounds like the perfect plan. A silent battle, a test of patience. You cut her off, disappear, and wait. You picture the day she regrets everything, the moment she checks her phone, realizes you're gone, and suddenly panics. You convince yourself she'll start wondering about you, missing you, stalking your social media, that she'll feel the emptiness just as deeply as you do. But here's the harsh reality. Most of the time, she doesn't. At least, not in the way you expect. No contact can work, but only if you actually move on. The problem? Most men don't. They treat no contact like a strategy, not a transformation. They're not truly healing. They're just waiting. Waiting for a text. Waiting for a sign. Waiting for the moment she finally realizes what she lost. But waiting is still weakness. Because as long as you're hoping for her return, she still owns you. And women can sense this. They know when a man is faking strength, when he's just acting like he's moved on instead of actually doing it. They can feel when you're still emotionally tied to them, even in silence. That's why no contact alone often fails. If she senses that you're still watching, still waiting, still hoping, she knows she still has control over you. And when that happens, she doesn't miss you. She just moves on, completely. Maybe after a few weeks, she checks in, just to see if she still has access to you, just to get that small hit of validation. And when she sees that you're still there, still responding, still caring, she walks away again. But this time, she's even more confident in her decision. You weren't a challenge. You were a game she had already won. That's when most men break. That little bit of attention, it feels like a second chance. They think, this is it. She's coming back. And in their excitement, they make the critical mistake. They show their hand. They respond too quickly, too eagerly. They reveal that they were never truly detached. And in that instant, she knows she made the right choice by leaving. So what's the solution? If no contact isn't enough, what is? It's becoming a man she can never reach again. Not just through silence, not by waiting, but through absolute, unshakable indifference. Because the truth is, she will only feel the loss when she realizes she no longer affects you. Not because you're pretending, not because you're playing a game, but because you're actually gone. And when she eventually reaches out, because at some point she will, you won't even care anymore. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I need no one. I choose myself. Number 3, the power of indifference beyond no contact. At first, he believed no contact was the key, that if he stayed silent long enough, she'd start to miss him, that eventually she'd realize what she lost and come running back. But as the days passed, a harsh truth hit him. No contact wasn't enough, because deep down, he was still waiting, still hoping, still letting her occupy space in his mind for free. And as long as he cared, he remained weak. That's when he made a choice. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more pretending. He needed something far stronger than silence, something she would never expect. Indifference, not just ignoring her, erasing her. She no longer mattered. Her thoughts, her feelings, her regrets, irrelevant. He didn't just cut contact, he removed her entirely from his reality. No checking her social media, no wondering who she was with, no leaving the door open, just in case she changed her mind. Because here's the truth, no contact is silence, but indifference is power. Silence still carries emotion. It still means you care. But indifference? That's what unsettles people. That's what makes them question everything. When someone who once adored you now sees you as just another face in the crowd, someone they could pass on the street without a second glance, that's when they truly feel the loss. And that's exactly what happened. At first, she didn't notice. She assumed he was just playing the same game every other guy plays, waiting, suffering in silence, hoping she'd come back. But then, something shifted. His absence wasn't temporary. It was real. His energy had changed. He wasn't avoiding her, he had outgrown her. And that's when the regret set in. One day she checked his social media, expecting to see the same heartbroken man she left behind. But instead, she saw someone unrecognizable. He wasn't sulking. He wasn't posting sad quotes or cryptic messages meant to get her attention. He was thriving, confident, unbothered. He looked better, stronger, and worst of all, she was no longer part of his story. That's when the doubt crept in. Why isn't he broken? Why isn't he trying to win me back? Did I make a mistake? Suddenly, she wasn't so sure anymore. Because when a man moves on effortlessly, when he completely detaches, it forces people to question their own worth. She had assumed he'd always be there, that she could come back whenever she wanted. But now she wasn't so certain. And that's the secret. Indifference is stronger than silence, stronger than absence. Because people don't crave what they can ignore. They crave what they can't control. When you reach this level of detachment, you don't need to block. You don't need to announce your departure. You simply become someone they can never reach again. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am untouchable. Number 4. The dark side of attraction. Why they always come back. She thought walking away was a victory. She believed he'd crumble, drowning in regret, waiting patiently for the day she got bored and decided to return. That's how it usually goes. Most men beg, plead, and try to prove their worth, desperate to negotiate love as if it's some kind of transaction. But he did something different. He vanished, not just from her life, but from her mind. At first, she didn't even notice. She was too busy enjoying her newfound freedom, chasing new experiences, maybe even entertaining other men. In her head, he was still there, lingering in the background, silently suffering. But then, something felt off. Where was he? Why wasn't he watching her stories? Why wasn't he waiting, like every other guy? And that's when the panic set in. Because human nature is predictable. People don't value what they can have. They value what they fear losing forever. When she realized he hadn't just ignored her but had moved on completely, something shifted. Doubt, uncertainty, curiosity. The same man who once adored her, who would have done anything for her, had now become a mystery. And nothing is more attractive than a man who is untouchable. This is the dark side of attraction, the brutal reality of human psychology. People are drawn to what they cannot control. They crave what is scarce. And the moment you truly remove yourself from their world, you create a void they can't ignore. That's why they always come back. Not because they miss you, not because they've suddenly realized your worth, but because they hate the idea that you don't need them anymore. And so the game shifts. She starts checking his social media more often, looking for signs that he still cares. Maybe she throws out a small test, a like on an old photo, a casual, "hope you're doing well" text, or even pretends nothing ever happened. But it's not a genuine attempt to fix things. It's a power move. She wants to see if she still has an effect on him. If he reacts, she wins. If he ignores her, she spirals. This is where most men fail. They mistake her curiosity for regret. They think, this is it. She finally realizes what she lost. And the second they show interest again, the moment they react, she no longer fears losing them. And just like that, she walks away again. But not him. Not this time. Because now he understands. He is the prize. He doesn't need to prove his value. He embodies it. And when she finally reaches out, expecting to find the same man she left behind, she finds someone different, someone colder, someone who sees her not as his future, but as a lesson from his past. And that's when the real regret hits. Not because she lost him, but because he no longer cares. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am the prize. Number 5. The Stoic. Transformation. Turning pain into power. The old him would have chased. He would have clung to every breadcrumb of attention, overanalyzing every text, every glance. every meaningless interaction, desperately searching for signs that she still cared. But that man is gone. Because this time he's not just moving on, he's transforming. Not for her, not to prove anything, but for himself. Pain is a powerful thing. For most, it becomes a prison. A cycle of regret, self-doubt, and endless suffering. But for the few who truly understand, pain becomes something else. Fuel, a weapon, a catalyst for rebirth. That's the difference between the weak and the powerful. The weak let pain define them. The powerful use it to evolve. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't run from the pain. He faced it, sat with it, let it sharpen him. Every moment of heartbreak became a lesson. Every ounce of suffering became motivation. He stopped wasting time dwelling on the past and channeled his energy into one thing, becoming unbreakable. First, his mind. Emotional control became his foundation. He studied Stoicism, training himself to master his emotions instead of being controlled by them. He absorbed the wisdom of warriors and emperors, the art of detachment, of focusing only on what he could control, of accepting reality without resistance. Where he was once reactive, he was now calm, unshaken, untouchable. Then, his body. A warrior's mind must be matched by a warrior's body. All the energy he once wasted on heartbreak, he redirected it into self-discipline. The gym became his battleground. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat, a silent promise to himself. I will never be weak again. His physique changed, his posture changed, the way he walked into a room changed, and people noticed. But the most important transformation? His presence. He no longer needed validation. He no longer sought attention. And because he needed nothing, he attracted everything. The same people who once overlooked him were now drawn to him. The same woman who thought she could replace him? Now she watched from a distance, wondering what she had lost. This is true power, not seeking revenge, not chasing validation, but becoming so undeniably valuable that the past becomes irrelevant. He didn't just move on. He leveled up, so far beyond her reach that she became nothing more than a footnote in his story. Because in the end, the ultimate victory isn't making them regret losing you. It's becoming someone they could never have again. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. Pain makes me stronger. Number 6. The social shift, creating an aura of mystery. At first, he thought disappearing was the answer. That if he just vanished, she'd be left wondering, missing him, regretting everything. But then he realized something even more powerful. Mystery. Because complete absence? That's easy to explain. She'd assume he was bitter, still hurt, still avoiding her out of weakness. But a man who is present, yet unreadable? That's the one who haunts the mind. He didn't block her. He didn't go on an attention-seeking spree. He simply became unpredictable. Where before he was an open book, now he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. No sad quotes, no indirect messages, no obvious attempts to get noticed. Just selective, intentional presence. A glimpse here, a moment there. Just enough to make her curious, but never enough to let her fully understand. This is the art of the social shift. You don't disappear, you evolve. In plain sight. You move in silence, but you leave clues. A photo that hints at a life she was never a part of. A brief story that shows you're thriving, but with zero context. No captions crying for attention, no unnecessary explanations. Just confidence, presence, power. And that's what starts to eat at her. Because when a man changes, women instinctively want to know why. Is he seeing someone else? Has he outgrown me? Was he always this strong and I just never noticed? She checks his social media more often, waiting for a sign, anything to confirm what she's feeling. But she gets nothing. No emotional outbursts, no bitterness. Just a man who is clearly thriving. The more she tries to figure him out, the more frustrated she becomes. She thought she had him figured out. That she knew exactly how he felt. that he would always be the one who cared more. But now he feels like a stranger, a mystery. And mystery is attraction. Because here's the truth. People don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what confuses them. They are drawn to what they cannot fully grasp. And the moment you become unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable, that's when they can't stop thinking about you. And yet the true power move? You don't do any of this for her. You don't become a mystery to lure her back. You do it because you've outgrown the need to explain yourself. Because your life is yours, and she no longer has access to it. Not by force, but by choice. And that is what makes her regret everything. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am a mystery. Number 7. The ultimate test, when she reaches out. It always happens, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, she reaches out. It might be a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" or a casual reaction to a post. Maybe she brings up an old memory, trying to see if it still holds weight. Sometimes it's as small as liking a picture or viewing a story, just to remind you she still exists. But make no mistake, this isn't an accident, it's a test, and most men fail. The moment she sends that message, their emotions take over. Their heart races, their mind floods with memories, and suddenly, they forget everything. They tell themselves, "This is my chance." She finally realized what she lost, and before they know it, they're right back where they started. They respond too quickly, too eagerly. They try to play it cool, but the excitement bleeds through. And just like that, she knows she still has power over them. But this man, he's different. He has spent too much time building himself up to crumble at the first sign of attention. He understands what's really happening. She's not reaching out because she truly misses him. She's reaching out to see if he's still an option. If he reacts, if he gives her the validation she's looking for, she wins. And just like before, the cycle repeats. That's why he doesn't take the bait. He doesn't ignore her out of pettiness. He ignores her because she is no longer relevant, and that, more than anything, is what destroys her. Because she was expecting a reaction, a response, some kind of sign that he's still affected, but instead, nothing. And if he does respond, it's brief, polite, but distant, uninterested. She asks how he's been. Good. No details, no opening for further conversation, no sign that he's been sitting around waiting for this moment. The energy is different. She can feel it. Where before there was longing, now there is only indifference. And that's what makes her panic. Because now, for the first time, she's the one wondering, does he still think about me? Does he have someone else? Was I wrong to leave? She thought she had the upper hand, but now, she's the one feeling rejected. And the harder she tries to figure him out, the more powerless she feels. This is the ultimate test, and the ones who pass it, they never go back. Because once you've mastered yourself, once you've outgrown the need for validation, you realize something powerful. The past has nothing left for you. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. I am in control. Number 8. The new reality. A life on his terms. This is it. The final stage. The moment he steps fully into the life he was always meant to live. A life on his terms. No longer shaped by heartbreak. No longer haunted by the past. No longer waiting for someone to realize his worth. Because now, he knows it himself. He no longer wonders what could have been. He no longer cares. He doesn't care who she's with. He doesn't care if she regrets it. He doesn't care if she stalks his profile, hoping to catch a glimpse of the man she once knew. Because that man, he no longer exists. What exists now is something greater. A man who has built himself from the ground up. A man who has mastered his emotions, sharpened his mind, and hardened his spirit. A man who walks into every room with quiet confidence, knowing that he no longer needs anything from anyone. The validation he once craved? Irrelevant. The attention he once sought? Meaningless. He doesn't need to be seen. His presence is felt. And this is the part she never saw coming. She thought he would always hold space for her, always keep the door open, just a little. She thought she could return one day and find him exactly where she left him. But when she finally looks back, he's gone. Not in the physical sense. Not in some petty, I'll block you to prove a point way. He's gone because he outgrew her. That's the true power move. Not revenge, not bitterness, just indifference. He doesn't look back because the past has nothing left to offer him. He doesn't need closure because his success is his closure. The life he's created, the man he's become. That is the final chapter. Not a conversation, not an explanation. Just becoming so untouchable that the past becomes meaningless. And that's what really breaks her. Not that he moved on, not that he's doing better, but that she no longer exists in his world. She is nothing more than a lesson he once learned. And while she's stuck in the past, questioning everything, he is thriving in a reality she will never be part of again. Because in the end, the strongest man is not the one who gets her back. It's the one who becomes so powerful that he never even considers it. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am unstoppable. This is where the journey ends. But for you, it's just the beginning. The moment you stop chasing. The moment you stop waiting. The moment you fully step into your power. Because this was never about her. It was never about making her regret. It was about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to look back. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to seek validation. You are the prize. And when you truly embody that, the past loses all meaning. The regrets, the heartbreak, the overthinking, it all fades into nothing. And in its place, a man who is untouchable, a man who controls his own destiny. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of most. Because most men, they stay stuck in the cycle, waiting, hoping, suffering. But you've already taken the first step toward becoming something greater. Now it's time to finish what you started. Build yourself. Master your emotions. Keep moving forward. Because once you become unshakable, once you become truly free, life stops being about proving anything to anyone and starts being about living on your own terms. So if you're ready to keep evolving, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment below one final time. I control my destiny. Because from this point forward, no one else does.